Hi, this is Advocate Aditi from Institute of Legal and Management Studies. In today's session, we will discuss India's new wage code and why it could significantly impact the country's middle class. India has been undergoing a major overhaul of its labor laws over the past few years. At the heart of these reforms is the Code on Wages 2019, a legislation that consolidates four major wage-related statutes into a single framework. While this is hailed as a simplification effort, the implications for salaried middle-class professionals are far more complex. For millions of employees in the IT sector, manufacturing, startups, and the gig economy, the code brings a new reality, one where take-home pay may actually decrease even when the CTC remains unchanged. In this video, we will walk you through 8 key topics: the overview of the code, how the middle class is impacted, sector-wise effects, employer challenges, a global comparison, the government's policy intent, real-world examples, and practical strategies for employees. Whether you are a working professional, HR practitioner, or legal enthusiast, this session is designed to give you the clarity and confidence to understand and navigate India's evolving wage landscape. Let's begin. Let us begin by understanding what the new wage code actually is and why it matters. The Code on Wages 2019 is a landmark piece of legislation that consolidates 4 separate labor laws into a single unified framework. These are the Payment of Wages Act of 1936, the Minimum Wages Act of 1948, the Payment of Bonus Act of 1965, and the Equal Remuneration Act of 1976. Prior to this, India's wage landscape was governed by a patchwork of overlapping statutes, creating confusion for employers, inconsistency for employees, and a breeding ground for litigation. The code introduces several important changes. First, it applies universally, covering employees across both organized and unorganized sectors, including the rapidly growing gig economy. Second, it introduces a broader, more comprehensive definition of wages, encompassing basic pay, dearness allowance, retaining allowance, and most cash components. Third, it mandates timely payment schedules, with penalties for non-compliance. And fourth, it reinforces the principle of equal pay for equal work, eliminating gender-based wage discrimination. These 4 pillars seem progressive on the surface, but as we will explore in the next slide, the broader definition of wages is where middle-class employees begin to feel the pinch. In this video, we will walk you through 8 key topics: the overview of the code, how the middle class is impacted, sector-wise effects, employer challenges, a global comparison, the government's policy intent, real-world examples, and practical strategies for employees. Whether you are a working professional, HR practitioner, or legal enthusiast, this session is designed to give you the clarity and confidence to understand and navigate India's evolving wage landscape. Let's begin. Now that we understand the code, let us explore why the middle class is uniquely exposed to its impact. The first and most immediate concern is the reduction in take-home salary. Because the wage definition is now broader, covering allowances and perks that were previously excluded, provident fund deductions and gratuity calculations are now applied on a larger base. The result, even if your cost-to-company figure stays the same, your actual monthly enhanced salary goes down. The second issue is the rise in taxable income. Allowances like HRA, which previously came with partial tax exemptions, may now become more fully taxable under the revised structure, increasing income tax liability without any actual increase in earnings. Third, the gap between CTC and real income widens. Middle-class professionals are increasingly discovering that the handsome CTC promised during hiring does not translate into the monthly cash flow they expected. This is both financially damaging and psychologically demoralizing. And fourth, there is a genuine trade-off at play. While higher PF and gratuity contributions do improve long-term financial security, better retirement savings, bigger provident fund corpus, the short-term impact on disposable income creates real household stress. This is the core tension of the new wage code: good intentions for the future, but immediate pain for the present.
The new wage code does not affect all employees equally. Its impact varies significantly across sectors. Let's start with the IT and IT-enabled services sector, which is arguably the most affected. IT professionals in cities like Bengaluru, Hyderabad, and Gurugram typically receive generous HRA, performance bonuses, and special allowances. Under the new code, many of these components are now factored into the wage base, significantly increasing PF deductions and reducing take-home pay. In manufacturing, particularly in Tier 2 cities, the impact is felt through the recalculation of overtime pay and the reclassification of factory allowances. For companies operating across multiple states, managing varied wage rules adds compliance complexity. Startups and MSMEs are particularly vulnerable. Their lean budgets and incentive-heavy compensation models now face higher statutory compliance costs. Many of these firms lack the HR infrastructure to manage complex payroll restructuring. And in the gig economy, which has exploded in India, delivery workers, freelancers, and platform-based professionals gain formal wage protections for the first time. But this formalization also limits the flexibility that made gig work attractive. The common thread? In nearly every sector, the middle-class professional, whether a software engineer, factory supervisor, or contractual consultant, faces a squeeze on take-home pay. The new wage code doesn't just affect employees, it places significant obligations on employers and human resources teams as well. The first challenge is compliance and reporting. Organizations must now reclassify all remuneration elements under the new wage definition, update payroll software, and ensure accurate filings with statutory bodies. For larger organizations, this requires coordinated changes across finance, HR, and legal departments. Second is payroll restructuring. To manage the higher cost of statutory contributions, many companies are revisiting the ratio of fixed pay to variable components. Some are capping allowances or shifting incentives to non-monetary forms. But every change to a salary structure comes with the risk of employee misunderstanding. Third, there is a genuine risk to retention and morale. Skilled middle-class professionals, particularly in high-demand sectors like IT, are acutely aware of any changes to their monthly take-home. Employers who do not communicate clearly may find that their best talent starts exploring alternatives. And finally, there is an education gap to bridge. Many employees simply do not understand the connection between the legislative change and their payslip. Human resources teams are being called upon to create FAQs, hold town halls, and build financial literacy programs to explain what has changed and why. For organizations, the lesson is clear: compliance is not enough. Managing the human response to these changes is equally critical. To appreciate what India's middle class is up against, it helps to look at how other countries handle similar wage structures. Take the United States. There, the definition of wages is much narrower. Health insurance, retirement contributions like the 401k, and travel reimbursements are typically excluded from statutory wage calculations. This preserves a much larger portion of the employee's take-home pay while still ensuring meaningful social security. In the United Kingdom, the national living wage system provides a structured flow, but non-taxable benefits, including transport subsidies and housing allowances, are clearly separated from the wage base. Employees retain significantly more of their enhanced salary. Germany offers perhaps the most instructive example. The German social security model distributes contribution obligations more equally between the employer and the state, rather than placing the full burden on the employee's salary. Non-cash perks such as company cars, subsidized meals, and childcare are regulated separately, not lumped into a broad wage definition. India's new wage code, while well-intentioned, currently includes most allowances in the wage base, without the kind of clear exemptions that protect disposable income in these developed economies. The key lesson is this: wage reform should be balanced. Protecting workers is important, but so is ensuring that the middle class retains enough disposable income to sustain consumption, investment, and economic growth. It would be unfair to only look at the challenges without acknowledging the government's intent behind the new wage code. So let us take a moment to understand the policy rationale. 4 staggering numbers capture the scale of this reform. 4 major laws consolidated into one. Over 500 million workers now brought under a formal wage protection umbrella. 29 old labor laws being streamlined across just 4 new codes. And all of this was enacted in 2019, a watershed year for India's labor law history. The first key objective is workforce formalization. For the first time, informal workers, gig workers, and contractual employees, who previously had little or no wage protection, are now entitled to minimum wages, timely payments, and basic statutory benefits. This is genuinely progressive. The second objective is to reduce litigation. India's court dockets have long been burdened with labor disputes arising from conflicting interpretations of overlapping state and central wage laws. A unified code with standardized definitions should significantly reduce this legal ambiguity. The third objective is long-term labor welfare. By mandating higher PF and gratuity contributions, calculated on a broader wage base, the government is effectively forcing the workforce to save more for retirement and long-term financial security. The challenge, as we have seen, is that these long-term benefits come at the cost of short-term disposable income. Theory becomes much clearer when we see it through real-world examples. Let us look at 3 illustrative case studies that represent how the new wage code is playing out across different worker profiles. Case 1. An IT professional in Bengaluru with a CTC of Rs 18 lakhs per annum. His package includes HRA, performance bonuses, and travel allowances. Under the new wage code, a significant portion of these are now counted in the wage base. His PF deductions increase by around 15%, and despite no change in his CTC, his monthly take-home reduces by approximately Rs 4,500. Case 2. A manufacturing supervisor in Pune earning a CTC of approximately Rs 6 lakhs per year. His pay included overtime, shift allowances, and production incentives. The new overtime calculation on a higher wage base, combined with the reclassification of shift allowances, reduces his monthly in-hand earnings by around Rs 2,200. His employer also caps bonus payouts to manage rising compliance costs. Case 3. A full-time gig delivery worker. He previously earned well through per-task incentives and performance bonuses. After the platform restructures to a flat daily retainer for compliance simplicity, his total monthly income drops by roughly 12%, significantly impacting his financial planning. In each case, the pattern is consistent: the middle-class employee ends up with less cash in hand, even when the legal intent was protective. While the new wage code presents real challenges for middle-class employees, there are practical steps you can take to navigate this new landscape with confidence. On the employee side, the first priority is to understand your CTC breakdown. Ask your HR department for a detailed breakdown of which allowances are now included in the wage base and recalculate your expected monthly take-home. Knowledge is power, and surprises on your payslip are avoidable. Second, negotiate strategically. At your next appraisal or when accepting a new offer, ask for restructuring of your pay components. Prioritize non-cash benefits, health insurance, flexible work arrangements, or employer-funded skill development because these are not counted as wages and do not attract statutory deductions. Third, optimize your tax planning. With more income now potentially taxable, working with a tax consultant to maximize deductions under sections 80C, 80D, and other available exemptions becomes even more critical. For long-term planning, embrace the higher PF contributions. Yes, they reduce monthly cash flow, but they build a larger retirement corpus. Align your investments accordingly. Also, leverage non-wage benefits strategically. Meal vouchers, health cover, and company training, none of these count as wages, so extract maximum value from them. And finally, invest in upskilling. In an uncertain financial environment, your professional skills are your most valuable asset. Courses like ILMS Academy's certificate course in labor laws can help you understand your rights and make smarter career decisions. And that brings us to the end of today's session on India's new wage code and its impact on the middle class. Let us do a quick recap of the key takeaways. The Code on Wages, 2019, consolidates 4 major labor laws and introduces a broader definition of wages, one that includes most allowances and cash benefits previously excluded from statutory deductions. For India's middle class, this means a reduction in take-home salary despite a stable or growing CTC. It means higher tax liability, a wider CTC to income gap, and a period of financial adjustment, even as long-term benefits like PF and gratuity improve. The impact is felt across sectors, from IT professionals in metro cities to factory workers in Tier 2 towns, from startup employees to gig economy workers. For employers, the code brings compliance challenges, payroll restructuring pressures, and the need for transparent employee communication. And for the government, the intent is clear: formalize the workforce, reduce litigation, and build long-term labor welfare, even if the short-term pain for the middle class cannot be overlooked. The key message for every professional watching this is: understand your salary structure, negotiate thoughtfully, and plan your finances proactively. If you want to go deeper into India's labor laws and truly understand your rights as an employee or professional, I encourage you to explore ILMS Academy's certificate course in labor laws. The link is right here on your screen. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with your network. Until next time.